to tackle the racism wherever it raises its ugly head. Paul.
Thanks very much, and thanks very much to all of you for being here. I just regret the fact that we have to be here today, but we do, because we can't let the EDL come to our city without making a stand, without making it clear that what they speak out for goes against the grain of everything that Sheffield has stood for and the values that we've embraced over many, many years. I want to share a personal story. I got involved in politics through the anti-apartheid movement when I was at school. And the first meeting that I went to, really out of my comfort zone as a young schoolboy, in Leeds, called by the anti-apartheid movement, a movement which kind of embraced the best of what people would describe as British values. We were having this meeting, and halfway through, it was broken up by thugs coming in, attacking people, smashing chairs, thugs from the National Front. And I was really shocked by that, and I went home and told my dad about it. And it came as no surprise to him, because he'd been brought up in the East End of London in the 1930s and had seen Mosley's British Union of Fascists. And there is a continuity from the British Union of Fascists in the 30s through the National Front, through the BNP, through to the EDL. There will always be people who are seeking to divide us. And there will always be a need for the rest of us to stand up to them, because they will fail if they're challenged. And we need to point out that those who would seek to those who would try to divide our communities, that division causes hurt and pain on both sides. Communities are stronger together than they are forced apart. Today, the EDL are using the excuse of child sexual exploitation in Rotherham for their march. They should listen to the families and the victims who've asked them consistently not to abuse that issue, not to take advantage of that issue, which we all need to deal with together as a united community. But tomorrow it'll be a different issue. Yesterday it was a different issue. Today it's hostility to Muslims. In the 30s it was hostility to Jews. There will always be an excuse from those on the far right who are trying to divide us, and our response has to be, as it is today, to challenge them and to stand with dignity, to say that this city, the people that I represent and the people that my colleagues represent, don't share those values, and we stand full-heartedly against them. And I'm delighted later, for example, because we've all got to challenge racism in the different ways we see it. And I know that one of the speakers later is from Football Unites Racism Divides, a Sheffield project which has kind of tackled racism where they came across it on the terraces, and then has used football to bring people together. A Sheffield project from grown in Lowfield and Sharrow and Highfield, which now is recognised throughout the world in terms of leading the struggle against the racism in one particular niche. But we all need to challenge it wherever we are, and in particular challenge the rising tide of Islamophobia, which I've spoken about in Parliament, that those who seek to make toxic links between different and unrelated issues, child sexual exploitation, religious conservatism in Birmingham schools, terror gangs in Syria and Iraq, and try to strike fear into the hearts of the numberless Muslim community. I know how beleaguered many of my friends in the Muslim community feel by the way that narrative is being developing, and it's important that we use every opportunity to challenge it, but not to be on the back foot. We don't need to be defensive about our arguments. We can be very positive. The Sheffield that I was brought up with in the 1960s was a fairly monocultural city. It's very different now, because we were the first city of sanctuary, welcoming those who fled persecution from across the world, because we've welcomed people to work in our hospitals, work in our factories and work elsewhere, because we have 9,000 students contributing hugely to the local economy. We now have in our city people who owe their origins to more than 120 countries, speaking more than 160 languages. And we need to say with confidence that we are a richer, better, stronger city because of that. Thank you.